days. Again, let me break this down. From Genesis to the time of Jesus, they look at it to be 4,000 years. From the time of Jesus to our time, they look to be 6,000. Now we're going into the 7,000 millennium, the day of rest. And that's what Jesus did. He created 6 days, and then he rested on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath of the Lord. And that's why you have also in Leviticus 25, every 7 years is a 7-year rest. You see that? Every 7 days is a 7th day of rest. And so since we're going into the 7,000 year, which is the 7th millennium of rest, which Hebrews 4 talks about, there remaineth a rest for the people of God. And that's why this time is so different, guys. Yes, all this stuff has been going on. Yes, Hosea chapter 4 talks about, let me just read it. He says, hear the word of the Lord. Hear the word of Adonai, people of Israel. For Jehovah has a grievance against the inhabitants of the land. There is no truth, no faithful love or knowledge of God in the land, only swearing and lying, killing and stealing and committing adultery. They break out of bounds, one blood crime following another. Therefore the land mourns, and every living that languished, wild animals too. So you see what he says, therefore the land mourns, and that's what we're seeing in the earth right now. We're seeing the land mourning. But Romans chapter 8 said it's doing that because we as sons of God and daughters of God, I might add, are not measuring up to the standard of God. We're not receiving the call. We're not walking out our purpose. Not so much our purpose. Let me say this. We're not walking out the purpose of God for our lives in the earth. And so the earth is like trying to bring forth, it's trying to give birth to the sons of God, according to Romans. The earth, when it mourns through the earthquake, it mourns through the volcanic activity, it mourns through the tornadoes, it mourns through the tsunami events. And so therefore it's trying to give birth to the sons of God. So the mourning is like contractions in the earth. And so the earth is trying to push forth us as sons of God until we answer the call of God, until we answer the call of Jehovah on our life. Yah will continue to cause the earth to push and to mourn until we answer that call, guys. And that's one of the reasons why the earth is doing what it's doing. And this is why we think that this is the last of the last days. Matter of fact, let me get ready to close this out. This is the only time in earth history, guys, the only time in earth history, besides one time in the past, and that is the Tower of Babel, when Nimrod had all people, everybody was one language, one speech, and all was coming up under the order of Nimrod, who was a type and a shadow. As the Bible says, it said the things that are happening in our past are for our learning. All right? And according to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, it is for our learning. And those things are pointing to this time. And so if we look at the shadow picture, although it was a real event, if we look at the shadow picture of Nimrod creating this one world government, so to speak, is that not what they're trying to do right now today? We have never heard such a thing besides the Tower of Babel. So this is what's going on. They're trying to resurrect the Tower of Babel again. They're trying to bring forth Nimrod again. And Nimrod will lead to the false prophets and the false Messiah. And so there's no other time they've been talking about a new world order, guys. They've been talking about a one world government, as it's so-called, a one world religion where all religions are trying to become one. All governments are trying to become one. That means government worldwide are trying to come up under this one head, which will lead to the false prophet and the false Messiah. Guys, if we don't wake up, this is the last days. We just don't know what time frame it would all come to a close. I do want to give you this one last concept. This one last concept that the Hebrew people have. The Day of Trumpet is very significant. The Day of Atonement is very significant to them. And notice this, the first 4 feasts were already fulfilled. And they were fulfilled in the springtime between the months of March and April and June. This is, matter of fact, today is leading up to, if not, the day of Pentecost, the outpouring of God's presence. Is on this weekend, this time frame rather, this week. All right. And so all that was fulfilled in the springtime. But then in the fall is when these last 3 will be fulfilled. And these last 3 feasts, guess when they start? In the 7th month. In the 7th month, which is our September on God's calendar. Okay, it'll be September, October, just depends. Because sometimes God calendar might start on the 1st, but in our calendar it might be the 15th. All right. And so we need to get on God's timetable. We need to get on God's calendar. And guys, we'll be prepared. We'll be watching. That's why the Hebrew people was in place on the day of Pentecost. All the males had to come to Jerusalem on the day of Pentecost, on the day of unleavened bread, or the feast of unleavened bread, the feast of Pentecost or Shavuot, and the feast of Sukkot, which is tabernacle. All males had to come to Jerusalem. So that's why if we get on their page, we get on their timetable, guys, God is doing a lot of stuff. I'm telling you, he's resurrecting his name, the Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey, as some people call him Yahweh, some people call him Yehovah. And really, we don't know the true pronunciation of the name. No one was living during the time of Moses in our day and time now, so we really don't know the true pronunciation of the name. Some people say Yehovah, some people say Yahweh. I don't know. But the point is, God is resurrecting his name. I just heard not too long ago a testimony of a man that saw the 4-letter words, the 4-letter name of God in a dream. I also heard another man saying that he had a dream that he saw a scroll come down, and on the scroll he saw this scroll, and it was open. And the Lord told him, tell him where's the scroll open. And I don't know if he actually got that concept right, whether the scroll was open to, but the point is this. When he woke up out of a dream, he heard this voice, this audible voice, or this voice, I don't know if it was audible or internal, but the point is this, he heard this voice, and the voice says, I want you to still be in Jerusalem on Shavuot. In other words, God is still honoring his feast days. Read about it in Leviticus 23. It gives you all the detail of these feast days. And God is resurrecting not only his name, not only his feast days, God is also resurrecting his Torah. That means his instructions, his laws, guys. Read Isaiah chapter 2 and Micah chapter 4. He talks about the law or the Torah is going to be going forth from Zion, going forth from all the nations of the earth will come to Jerusalem to hear the word of the Lord, to hear the ways of God, to get on the path of God. Guys, we must wake up. This is the time, and this is the season that God will show us his favor. If we get on his timetable, if we get on his page, he will pour out his spirit, just as Joel chapter 3 says, he will pour out his spirit in the last days. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. They shall dream dreams. They shall have vision. Even Jesus said this, or Yahshua, I like to call him. Yahshua said this right here. If we love God, we will keep his commandment, and he and his Father will come to us. And he says, when they come to us, they will show us, or the Holy Spirit will show us things to come, or will show us the future. So if you really want to know what the future is, start living by God's commandments, start obeying his son, start living under the power of the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, and you'll start seeing the power of God flowing from your loins. And you'll start seeing the movement of God, and you'll start having this concept of God, of what he's doing in the earth right now. What is the Spirit saying to the church right now? Let him that has ears to hear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. And so, guys, I just kind of wanted to give you that. Just kind of want to refreshing you and revive you and bring life to you. And I just want to speak life to you. May Yehovah cause his face to shine upon you. May Yehovah give you favor. May Yehovah be gracious unto you and give you his shalom. And I say that is the truth and the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Shalom.